hopefully you can hear me. So, I've noticed something that I want to share, and it is that at this time, the need to project is so strong. I just had an experience where I was speaking to somebody and they literally misheard everything I said. Like, I would say something and then they would just literally tell me that I said something different and I didn't. And like that happened twice. And then what did they do? They took offense to something I said. And then I realized, oh, this person is having a hard time with what they feel and they're trying to project it out. It's something that's unpleasant. So they're trying to look for a reason why they feel that way. So when I speak, they put it on me because that's what they see, you know? It's actually what they're seeing is in them. And everybody's stuff is coming up right now. So I saw this firsthand. If I were to have engaged or taken offense or defended myself, that would be a war. Like, defense is the first act of war. If somebody offends you, if you can somehow be the bigger person. So sorry I did that. That was so unsafe. Never do that again. I'm not going to show this video. Cancel, delete. Alright, maybe I'll show this video. But I will not take my hands off the goddamn wheel again. Okay. I have a tendency to talk with my hands. And I'm going to stop looking at the fucking camera too. Okay, that was me lashing out the energy that I just absorbed, I think. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I didn't take offense though, right? I just kind of let that aggression out a little bit through my own adjustments of self. But I'm sure there's more creative ways that people can do it. But as long as you don't put that out towards the war, then you're not in a war. And war is keeping us all disempowered in lack and distracting us from, you know, how we could actually be living, which is all in harmony. And so I just wanted to point out that if you are a person who cannot take offense to others and you're just standing in your power, people are going to project onto you if you are in their presence. It just happens. The light draws out the dark. So when I am standing in my power, in my light, in my vital life force, and somebody else is not, and they come towards me or are in my presence, their darkness, their shadow that they're not aware of yet, that's in their subconscious, is going to be pulled out just by virtue of them standing near me and me holding light. Now, this thing that's pulled out, this feeling, has to be put somewhere. It is very common for this feeling to then be projected onto the person in view because it's been in the subconscious usually for a long time. The reason it's in the subconscious is because it was uncomfortable to feel in the first place. We were not yet equipped to process that discomfort. We may not feel like we are yet able to process that discomfort, but we are. This discomfort where you feel like you're going to die, where you feel like the world is over, where you feel like you're worthless, where you feel like you have no value, where you feel like everybody's failed you, where you feel like you're going to be betrayed, where you feel like guilt over betraying others. Any of those things, okay, can be surrendered and released now. You have full permission to forgive yourself the way we forgive ourselves is to acknowledge, validate, and love the part of us that feels the thing, right? If we feel guilt, so we're acknowledging we feel guilt first, right? Instead of when that guilt feeling comes up, finding somebody who's guilty to point our finger at. If we find somebody who's guilty to point our finger at, we are simply finding a placeholder for our subconscious programming that has just attempted to get our attention. If instead of projecting it onto another to see it, we can acknowledge arises in us as guilt, we will have set on the path to healing. The second step would be to validate. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel guilty? Acknowledge, think about, ask yourself the questions that will give you the answer you're looking for. Be brave. Again, these are things that you have not wanted to see because they were too painful. You have egoic structures of operating in place to actively try and deter you from seeing what you are now trying to see and what you are now feeling very strongly. Now, when you recognize and validate that this feeling was in you, I was feeling guilty because I did this, then you can love the part of yourself that felt the guilt. Well, can you give yourself the unconditional love that you would give a 5-year-old child, which is the equivalent of that hurt version of you? The hurt version of you that is coming up to be felt needs to be treated as you would treat a 5-year-old child. Talk to it kindly. Understand it. Unconditional love. When a child misunderstands, we don't take offense, and we comfort them. We acknowledge, validate, and love them for whatever it is. And in this way, we are all rescuing our own inner child. As within, as without, or whatever that saying is. So within, so without. It's a law of the universe. The metaphor for saving the children out there in the world is that we are also saving our own inner child when we recognize that the emotion that has come up in us today at this time during this part of our evolution is in fact something that exists in us, and it is our responsibility to now act as the parent to it. Be responsible for it. Responsible means able to respond. When this first became lodged in us as an energy, we were not able to respond. Now we can respond. Now we can take the time, excuse me, that we never could before. Okay, so if somebody is projecting onto us, we will not become offended if we do not have the matching unhealed energy in us. In this way, healed people will elicit others to draw out their unhealed emotion so that it can be seen at this time. This is how the evolution works. There are many people who for years have understood that they needed to heal and have done so that at this time they could stand strongly to support others in doing their work too. This is not me telling you what to do. I'm explaining what has happened all around you that you may not be aware of. You may not be aware there are a lot of people spread out strategically in a grid who have done this already. The people around those who have done the work will be affected by the work, by the light that is now flowing through this person, which is being allowed because they cleared the density, because they cleared those emotions. Instead of keep pitting them on someone else, they decided to take responsibility. They learned the tools and they understood that the only way to alleviate that particular energy from its existence is to integrate it into them. Okay? And when this energy is integrated in them, in me, in anyone, that person becomes a beacon of hope and healing, whether it is consciously acknowledged or not. This, again, tends to cause projection in people who have harbored misunderstandings. If you look somebody who is in their power and feel anger, mistrust, disgust, jealousy, envy, that is showing you what you have in you. It is not shameful or wrong. This is the program we are evolving out of. It is not wrong. I repeat, it is not wrong. It was simply a coping mechanism, and it was the only thing you could do to survive the illusion of lack that we had all been